Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. Thanks, Paul. It's a great opportunity. So I came here in a stranger's car. I think Paul mentioned that. I took a Lyft, not an Uber. I am part of the hashtag delete Uber phenomenon, so I did have to choose the other guy. I was here last night. I stayed in a stranger's house. We talked about that as well. I slept in a stranger's bed. My wife, if she's watching, it's exactly what Paul said, not in that way. And we ordered DoorDash. So we live the gig economy. I live it every day. And the most amazing thing about it is that it is not only the fact that we use this in our daily lives, but there are certain expectations I want to talk about that we are now starting to really just demand of this gig economy. And then we transition to work. We eat our dinner from DoorDash. We sleep in the Airbnb. We take the Uber or Lyft. And then we come to work. And in work, we have productivity as our main focus. We want to do things, do tasks, achieve business outcomes. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, is not so much the gig and the strangers that can help you with your food and your driving and your sleeping, but that can help you with work. All right. So Got It is in the business of finding you a trusted expert within seconds. Why? Well, how much time do you take to order your car when you want to take a Lyft or Uber? You don't interview the driver. You just hit a button, and it shows up. And so we have this expectation now in our personal lives of this push a button and stuff happens. And when we come to the workplace, when we want a cup of coffee, if we want to, if you're feeling a little low, not so productive, guess what we do? We go get a cup of coffee right then and there, right? We don't do hunting and gathering anymore. We don't say, I need a cup of coffee, I'll have to go find the beans, let me see my cave, we're not like that. But when we do work and we find ourselves unproductive at work because of the tools and technologies we're using, what do? We do go hunting and gathering. Who can help me? Let me send an email to this person. Do I have a manual somewhere, et cetera, right? So that's what we mean by expert in seconds, is we would expect of the workplace today the same thing we would expect of our personal lives. There's no hunting and gathering anymore. And let's see if we can do that with our day-to-day work tools. So we call it experts in seconds for business users. So I'm going to pick a business app. Let's just call it something. How many people here know Excel? Everybody here? Okay. So that's my business app. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. As there's probably 100 million people right now using Excel. Congratulations to you, Microsoft. I applaud you. You really have changed lives. Sometimes when I'm using it, I'm not feeling so good about the fact that you changed my life by giving me Excel, but most times I feel great about the fact that you gave Excel. Now, there's probably another 100 million people out there who are experts in Excel who could help the first 100 million people who are not experts at any given time. I mean, the sheer numbers you guys have created is just amazing to me. But that expert who could is not available to that user who needs the help. And that's what business users getting a trusted expert in seconds will be about. All right. So I'm going to just put up a slide for just my life and personal journey a little bit. You can read up there. I've been involved with a lot of things, and I'm kind of a person who, does a lot of things, looks at a lot of ideas, and then every now and then I find some idea very exciting and I jump into it. And this is probably the most exciting idea I have yet to participate in. This notion of the gig economy in the knowledge worker space, the digital gig economy, being available. Why is that? Because there are 7 billion people out there. Each of them has a brain. It takes money to have your car, and there's only 1 billion cars out there. It takes money to have your house, and there's only 1 billion houses out there for letting strangers sleep in. But there are 7 billion people with a brain, and it costs nothing to have that knowledge. So just keep that in mind. There's no lease payment, there is no mortgage payment on this wonderful thing we have in our head called the brain and the knowledge that exists within it. So, the story behind this idea. There's a PhD student, I run an incubator. He came to my incubator a few years ago and he said, I have this crazy idea. Whenever we ask for something, we go to Google search, right? So why is it that we go to Google search? Because all the knowledge and power of the brain of the human race has been put onto web servers, and we need to tap into that. And I said, okay, I get it. He says, there's somebody out there at any given time, if you have a question, who will be there to answer it for you. Why do we have to go to Google search? And I said, okay, that sounds interesting. That's probably true. So let's build a platform where anytime somebody has a question, we can find somebody instantly, as fast as Google, and connect the two people. And I said, no, that's crazy. You can't connect two people on this planet instantly just because they exist. That's just never been done. And even if we tried that, I mean, just think of the complexity of that. And he said, let me tell you something else. Not only should we connect them instantly, we should guarantee that their problem will be solved in 10 minutes. And at that point, I'm starting to lose, I'm like, okay, But the beauty of my business is, as you run an incubator, you hear a lot of crazy ideas. And some of them actually turn out to be interesting. So he had come out of university, and I said, okay, you know what? Let's give your crazy idea a try. Let's build a system in which you connect two people instantly, and we time box their interaction into a chat messaging session for 10 minutes and see what happens. Okay? So I said, what do you want to do it in? He said, let's do it in academic questions, tutoring. Let's just do it. Random people around the world will just connect the two, 10-minute time box session, and let's see how fast they can connect and answer each other's questions. So it occurred to me that what he was really asking for was, let's see, there. And we settled. We compromised. We said, look, this idea of instant, we have to put a number on it. So we said, how about 30 seconds? How about guaranteed within 30 seconds, we will connect this knowledge expert to the user who's asking. Okay, check. Then we said, this 10 minutes, how about 20? I was essentially so fascinated by the idea that I was willing to do it as long as he would move a little bit on this stuff. So we came up together with this idea of 30-second connection time, 20 minutes chat time, okay? And the third and most important thing, which we talk about later, is the AI, that the chat session, must automatically label the session so it can be used for AI. So how many people are familiar with labeling in AI? A few, right? So it just means that a machine can come later, look at the chat session, and derive from the chat session certain aspects of understanding what the exchange was and how to solve the problem in the future. Right? So this is what we started on. It's very hard, actually, because the faster you connect somebody, the less time you have to vet this person and make sure they can guarantee the solution. The more you ask them to label, the longer the 20 minutes will take. So it's actually quite difficult to make these three goals work with each other. But that's what made it interesting. All right. So we got a guy. I said, this is a gig economy play. We've got to find somebody. I said, all right, what's out there? Lyft, Uber. They're doing it. They connect people in seconds with cars. So we'll get somebody out of Lyft and Uber. So we found the person who was responsible for driver growth at Lyft. Gig economy company. We're starting a gig economy company. Seems like it should work. And so over there we found out this is what they do. They check the car. They check the driver. They onboard the person, and then they do the monitoring. Is the person doing well? That's what they do, pretty much. It's a commodity. You know, and I know when we get from point A to point B. What we did is ask this person to come over and say, it's not just that. We have to guarantee a business outcome, right? I don't have a GPS in Excel to tell me that you just did this thing for me, so visibly in a map. I have to actually understand what you did and make sure the expert did the right job. So we had to add testing, onboarding, mentoring existing experts, showing new experts who are coming on board what the right way to do things was, and most importantly, auditing. We had to look at the work continuously at scale to make sure that there's a guaranteed outcome. So it became an interesting challenge, actually. And 3 years later, that was last year, we achieved these 3 numbers. This is when I truly became a believer in Paul's vision and the idea that not only can we do this gig economy thing, we can do it at scale, we can do it fast, we can make it like Uber. 3 million sessions we did between people all over the world who had STEM-related academic questions. 10,000 experts in 79 countries joined the platform. Okay? About half of them now say Got It is their only source of income. Okay? All of them show up within 30 seconds. We actually run a global problem auction the moment somebody submits. There's a 30-second auction that goes on. People choose the amount they want to bid. We have Facebook engineers who bid 0. Why? Solving a math problem seems, I don't know, interesting to, you heard the term nerd, you know, whatever it was earlier. Some people like that. They're having lunch, it's an interesting math problem, let's solve it. So 5% of our bids come in at 0. But they bid, they choose when they work, and they choose the type of problem they want to solve. And today, this on-demand platform is live in 100 colleges in the United States. So we kind of said this crazy thing is doable. The idea that you ask a question and within 30 seconds, there's somebody in the planet somewhere who will do it, and will not only do it, but will compete on a bidding basis to say, this is how much I would do it for, and then an algorithm will select the best expert for the best price. So we said, all right, if that's a platform, let's go back to that famous program you know, Excel. If that's a platform, why not apply it to something else? That's when I truly became convinced that this thing could really change the world, because it could be applied to anything. So we said, why don't we look at things that people struggle with every day? Data, 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 right? Analytics tools, spreadsheets, that's where all the decisions are really made, as you all know. Not in Sila, not in, I mean, you know. It's all with data. We're in a data-driven world. So we said, all right, let's do this. It works in a completely different domain. 50,000 sessions later, we have this, session number 48,200. We actually charge people $29.99 a month for a subscription for Excel. In fact, one of the things that one of the Microsoft executives told me is, how do you get $29.99 when we only get $10 a month? And I said, see, that's the power of the gig economy. You have to think of your products no longer as software. You have to think of your products as things that deliver outcomes. Nobody says, oh, I'm here to do Excel. How many people here say, oh, that's what I want to do, Excel? People say, I want to solve a business problem. And guess what? We did a partnership with Microsoft where they are sending traffic from support office people who come there saying, we look up this, that, et cetera. And remember that 20 minutes? The median time for a session with all the Microsoft users we've seen, 20 minutes, almost to the dot. So it's incredible when you put people a goal, how they actually meet it. And that's what we mean by managing an SLA in our company. Next is, you'll see in here, this is a Microsoft user. somewhere in there, small little thing for the help people here. They said the help function was, of course, no use. Well, it can be. The help function can be F1, hi, I'm an Excel expert. How can I help you? That's the new help function. Think about it. And then we said, well, why should this live on a website? What is the fundamental difference, I think Paul raised this earlier, between an employee and somebody who is helping an employee? So we built it for Slack, and now we're building it for Teams. Because there shouldn't be these artificial barriers between the person who is collaborating with you as an external expert versus your friend who might be in the company who is working with you on the same spreadsheet. Because in both cases, there's a task outcome being accomplished. So why not bring it into the collaboration platforms? And then comes AI, and we are very clear on our vision. AI is here to help the expert. We believe not in the giant Borg AI in the system. We believe in personal AI avatars. So if the expert wants to take a break, they can go to sleep. They can leave their AI on. And just to share with you that that's close, after 50,000 sessions, we have enough of a training set that we are now able to actually solve a simple pivot table problem. Oh my God. If you can solve a pivot table with AI, wouldn't that be amazing? So this is very early, but that's the one thing I'd love AI to do for me, pivot tables. VLOOKUPs maybe as well. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up by saying, we tried it again. We said, why not? So that other part of the data, it's in analytics. Why don't we figure out, every day we're asking questions. Hey, what are the number of users in my last cohort that does this? Oh, it's not in my dashboard. BI team, oh, BI team is 7 weeks behind on these requests. So why don't we bring in the gig economy expert on demand and do the problem right then and there? And so in AI, what we did is we actually also built the notion of obfuscation of data so that the privacy is actually controlled. Okay, I'm 2 minutes behind time. I've broken my own SLA while I've been expounding SLAs, so I should stop and leave you with this thought. Let us empower every human being. Because right now what Google is doing, which you think is so cool, I wish we had invented Google search. What Google is doing is really taking that brain in people's heads, making them put it on servers, and indexing those servers and the content. The real power is here. So Microsoft has the opportunity to go to the next one with the gig economy, which is index this. Thank you very much.